Hello, Silicon Markets here, just giving you a brief explanation on Bollinger Bands and how to use them. So first of all, what are Bollinger Bands? They were developed by a guy called John Bollinger, who basically wanted to work out how to quantify volatility in the markets. So you can see here they contract and then they expand, and then we've also got a midline as well in here, which is a 20 period moving average. So let's just have a brief explain of what it's supposed to be. So normally around 95% of price action is supposed to stay within these bands. Sometimes that's not the case depending on how volatile markets are, but that's what's supposed to generally happen. We've also got the 20 period moving average in the middle, and the bands work out to be two standard deviations outside of the 20 moving average. So what does this mean? This means that if we get into a period where there's not a lot of volatility and the candles are quite small, as you can see here, the Bollinger Bands will contract closer together before a break outside of we probably get some volatility again, and the bands will start to expand again to the upside. So here's another really good example of this. So the Bollinger Bands get tighter as volatility gets thinner within the moving averages, and then all of a sudden the volatility increases and the bands start to widen. Now, what can this tell us about the market? So the whole point of this is basically to tell us when we think that we might get volatility breakout. So we could have very thin bands for a certain period of time, and all of a sudden the bands might start to break apart, and we could look for trades in the direction of a trend. So in terms of how we can code this with our system on Silicon Signals, we can just go into new condition, we can add an indicator, and we can choose Bollinger Bands. Now the normal setting is a 14 period setting, so it's measured for candles. It's actually 20 is the usual setting that was used by John Bollinger, so it's not a 14 period moving average, it should be a 20 period moving average. Two standard deviations correct. It does work on a simple moving average, and yes, it's the band setting. So let's just go up here. This all looks correct. Simple moving average, yes. Bands, we want the middle band. Done. So you can either make a algorithm saying when the price crosses the bands you could take a trade, or when price hits the upper band you could take a trade, or when price hits the lower bands you can take a trade. It's entirely up to you how you'd want to work this, but I've just given you an idea of how to code it and what the Bollinger Band actually does.